I was getting ready for Memphis. We went back this morning with the players and watched the Hawaii film and made corrections, and then went out on the field and worked on the things we need to improve on. And just like always, you try to learn from the things you did well and improve on them, and you try to see where you can get better and make adjustments as necessary. And so that's what we did. So I think we're just excited about the chance to go out and get better every day and keep improving and take on the next challenge. So that's where we're at.
Were there some things from the film that you saw that you didn't necessarily take away from the game?
No, not really. It was kind of what we thought. But it's always good to look at it and confirm it, and then show it to your players, confirm it, and then coach them through it and show them how we can get better, really in all areas, whether you're doing things right or you're struggling. So that's kind of, I wouldn't say you follow the exact same formula every week, but there is a formula that a process of learning.
What were some of those takeaways?
We're doing some good things on both sides of the ball. We need to do it better on both sides of the ball. We're doing some good things in special teams, but we're a hair away from really being special in special teams. So we try to look at things. We try to enjoy the victory, celebrate the win. It's hard to win no matter who you're playing, but we always try to look at our games as a staff and as players with a very critical eye towards how we can improve.
Did Josh look about the same? I mean, obviously he had a tremendous game. Was there one way or the other that looked a little different?
No, he was still 22 of 23, or 22 of 25, and looked really good, and looks more and more comfortable playing in this offense, more and more comfortable with the receivers that he's throwing to, and just understanding how to process information and apply it going forward.
How would you assess Jed's play calling through these first two games?
I'm not one that really gets into play calling. I think that can be a mistake. I mean, people always want to blame the play caller or the play call. There's a reason for everything he calls. It's based upon things that information we've accumulated through the week or through the years or through study. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a lot of reasons things do or do not work, but we're making improvements on offense all the time.
Demetric Felton had a couple of nice runs.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to give him a look there?
Well, Laz didn't, he wasn't available to us, and so that opened a little door for Felt, and he came in and he maximized it. He's been really doing a nice job the first 2 weeks on special teams. As a matter of fact, he was one of the special teams players of the week this week, one of them, and then he did some good things on offense. He's a dynamic guy with the ball in his hands, and that was his first real live game action as a UCLA Bruin, so it was good to see him do some good things.
Any possibility he could line up at tailback more often?
No, I mean, no. He's not big enough to be a tailback. I mean, he's just not. He's maybe 190 pounds, but if you try to run him a lot, it wouldn't be the best thing for your football team nor for him. Now that doesn't mean he won't get some shots there, in some special situations like he did on Saturday, but he won't be an every down back. He's just not built that way.
You had two guys who suffered head injuries. Without asking about availability, are they okay? Did they avoid, serious?
They both made their way off the field. They both recovered their senses quickly, but like with all head injuries, we are always going to err on the side of caution. And so, we'll just see how they progress through the concussion protocol through the week. I don't know that they called either one of them a concussion, but there was head trauma, so we are always going to be very, very careful with that.
Did the Pac-12 get back to you about the Kenny play at all?
They have, and they're going to issue a statement, so I'll just let them say what they have to say.
Did they say when they would?
No.
Okay. Were you pleased with what they told you?
I'm not pleased with the fact that Kenny Young took that violent of a hit and nothing was done about it. No.
Does this rectify what they've done?
No. Nothing rectifies that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a vicious, violent, intentional hit on a defenseless player. It was the definition of targeting, the absolute definition. It was clear, it was concise, it was beyond reproach that it was a violent, flagrant target, and for some reason the process failed, and they'll address that. They'll address that.
Chris Barnes came in after Kenny went out and made some plays. What did you see with him?
A lot of room for improvement. He did some good things. His numbers were good, but too many tackles down the field. and too many missed tackles. So what was great is that he got to play. And as I've said before, the only way you really make big leaps in improvement is by playing in a game. Practice is great, and you do improve in practice, certainly, but when you get in there and it's against a different opponent and there's an intensity level that you really just can't match in practice because you're playing another opponent and there's fans there and there's a lot on the line, that's when you see big jumps in guys in terms of their ability to go out and improve. So I'm just excited that he got a lot of snaps, that Kenny got a lot of snaps, that Breland got a lot of snaps, you know, Martin Andrus got a lot of snaps, you know, a lot of guys got a lot of snaps, and so that's how you're going to get better.
2 games in, how have you seen Coach Fraley's influence on the offensive line in games now?
Well, I think they're playing as a cohesive unit. I think that there's a calmness to them. There's a real understanding of what they're supposed to be doing. That doesn't mean that it's always executed perfectly. I think that they're able to adjust quickly when we recognize the need to make adjustments during a game. I think they're going to get better and better. You know, I think that you know, getting a chance the other night to get Jacob Burton in there, some Pawasi in there, Josh Waraboko in there. You know, this week get Sonny in there. That, you know, we're going to start developing that depth, and so we're just feeling better and better about that group as we go.
Is there an appeals process you can go through for Josh Woods' targeting call?
Unfortunately, there's not. In my opinion, and this is just one man's opinion, and there's no way to dispute what the ruling on the field was. It's a shame that he's not going to be able to play the first half of this game, because if you look at the film objectively, you see that Josh actually was turning to try to avoid a targeting foul. Now, by the definition of the rule, it was targeting, but it was not a flagrant intentional target. It was actually a young man who was trying to respect his opponent and avoid a big hit. I mean, he could have, if he'd have wanted to, it could have been really, really ugly. But because he's a good kid, because he's been well coached, because he understands the rules, because he's smart, he did all he can to avoid, you know, really potentially injuring an opponent. And unfortunately, there's no mechanism for appeal. You know, you target, you get booted. And you know, I'd hope that at some point they could come up with a rule where there's a different level of violation. You know, a level 1 and level 2. Level 1, you're ejected. Level 2, you say, you know what, is intentional. It wasn't intentional. We're going to give you the flag, but not the, you know, we're not going to eliminate you from play for the next week. As I said after the game, you know, they get 12 shots. These are college kids. They're not professionals. They get 12 shots to play. They lay it all on the line for these 12 opportunities to play. And here's a young man, Josh Woods, that does everything right, is trying to avoid the big hit, and he's penalized by losing half of a game. It's just, it's so very, very, very wrong, especially when you talk about all the money he's making for the NCAA by going out and playing. It's just so convoluted, I can't even imagine it.
What have you seen from Memphis on tip?
They're a good football team. They're explosive. They got a lot of really great athletes. You know, we're somewhat familiar with the offense because of the head coach was at Arizona State. You know, they do some things that are similar to Hawaii schematically, defensively. Like I said, they're athletic. They're a very athletic football team. They play with a lot of energy. They're capable of scoring points. They're capable of making big plays on defense. It's our first, you know, road trip. You know, we've been good on the road, last year being an aberration. We feel good about playing on the road, and it's going to be a great challenge. And I think, you know, our guys will accept the challenge, and they'll have a great week of practice and be ready to go on Saturday.
Is it tougher at all that they were rained out or stormed out last week?
You don't get a chance to evaluate as much film, so there's a little bit more unknown. You have to go off of last year's film a little bit more, and then their first game. But other than that, I mean, it's all you can do. You know, and like I said, having some familiarity with what they're doing because of Arizona State, that'll help us a little bit, but he knows us as well, so, you know, it balances itself out. Okay?